Hello, and welcome to What Moves Us, the podcast where we ask what moves us, or more accurately, what's going to move us in future.
With the Rail Innovation Group's Johannah Randall and Liam Henderson, we look at debates, themes, and decisions of the minute that will impact on the way we get about in the future.
Hi, Johannah. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you, Liam?
I'm good. I'm obviously in London, where it's still quite warm. You look as though you've got a hoodie on up there in Scotland.
I have got a hoodie on. I always wear a hoodie.
Okay, then. Right.
It's not. I mean, for the time of year, it's okay. I mean, um, yesterday I went out for a lovely walk and it was lovely and sunny. I mean,
So it is the 2nd of October today. Lots going on in the world. We just don't know what's the end result of this will be. It's a Tory party conference today, this week. I'd love to know what's happening with HS2. I'd love to know what's happening with rail investment. And I'd love to know what's happening with GBR. So whilst we can ask lots of questions about this, I don't think we have any certainty. I think generally the general message, please can we have some certainty?
no, I think like most people, I'm feeling very disappointed with it all at the moment because, and I think the reason why I'm disappointed is that we did a podcast getting on for 2.5 years ago about the William Shapps rail plan.
Yeah.
And we were feeling overall quite positive.
Yeah.
Here at last was a plan that, that we hoped we wouldn't disappoint us because we could just get on and deliver it. And of course, nothing has been delivered. It's just become a bit of a talking shop. Nothing,
Yes.
if anything, you could say if you'd have done nothing, things would probably be better than they are now.
Well, we're going to get a view from a larger supplier to rail in a minute. We've got Ben Jones joining us from Shite and Bachman. In advance of him joining, because maybe they know more than we know. I attended a Digital Decade in Rail event last week in Derby. And it was, again, probably the same as you, feeling a bit like we were talking about all the things that you could do with digitization and what we needed to do as an industry, blah, blah, blah. But the cynicism, I certainly had cynicism in terms of like, well, it's all very nice to talk about this stuff, but I don't think we don't have public support to be doing these things now. You don't sense that if we came up with a plan, it would be supported to bring into operation.
Why don't you think there's public support?
No, public sector.
Public sector.
No,
Oh, I see.
sector. I meant government, really.
Government.
Because as long as people are waiting for Great British Rail transition to happen, I'm not sure that the ambition for the rail in the future is the same now. And I don't know enough about what the Labour Party would do should they be the next government.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation, isn't it? And Dominic, from what I hear on news and commentators, and that it'll be interesting to see sort of like what comes out of the Conservative conference, is that business is not attending the conference. Everybody's going to the Labour conference.
Yeah, but I mean, for all future mobility, because we cover obviously any mode, I don't actually know. To be honest, I don't really know what a Labour government would do. And I can read what the Tory party says, the Conservatives say they would do, but I'm not entirely sure they will do it. So it's a lot of wait and see.
Or a lot of wait, yeah.
Apart from the announcements this weekend about the plan for drivers, which I think is very strange. And I don't also believe that will happen because they're not going to be in power long enough to put that into place.
But also, I just don't get this war on drivers stuff.
Well,
because if you look at the evidence, I give you for example, just look at the cost of motoring. In the 13 years that we've had some form of Conservative government, the real cost of motoring has gone down. And then if you were to just look at the last couple of years, I'm like, because why we have a fuel price escalator, I have no idea, because it's pretty much been frozen since 2007, I think.
Yeah.
And not only has it been frozen, but last year they actually reduced it by 5%, and then they decided this year in the spring budget to extend it. But then conversely, if you look at public transport, the cost of rail fares has on average, I think, gone up something like RPI plus 1.6% since 2010. And of course, this year it go up 5.9%.
Yeah.
So you've got that, and then bus fares have also gone up by something like 37%, despite the £2 flat fare that's being implemented in temporarily. And also during that time, buses have declined by 50%, in terms of the services and that. So I don't get where this argument of the war on the motorist is. There is no war on the motorist. Actually, the war is with public transport users. And then, if you take that in the background against, sort of like policies that are also being implemented or being announced in regard to our climate change goals, then everything that the current government is saying is actually saying we don't care about our future or our grandchildren or clean air or anything. We just care about winning the next election.
Well, it's politics, isn't it? There was a lot of stats in your head just then. I'm quite impressed that you have them all. A lot of stats. Yes. Again, all I can just wait and see.
I think I was reading about it over the last few days, because I have to say when I do drive, and I was very late to driving, as some regular listeners may know, but I have always been, sort of like pro public transport,
Mm.
most of my life. And I think, and it just makes it really, really difficult to use public transport when you sort of like contextualize it against some of the policy, changes that are coming. But on a positive note, I will mention this before, because unfortunately I do have to go before you have your interview with Ben. But they started the trial today in Scotland on removing peak fares for the next 6 months.
Oh, yes.
So
Yes.
so there is something positive that is happening, and I'll be interested to see the outcomes of that, and whether it's a success in terms of getting more people to travel by rail again, because Scotland, as we know, has been slower to recover post-pandemic, but it is recovering now, and whether that actually grows business, but also whether they deem it successful enough to actually keep it permanent. Because I've always been an advocate, even before the pandemic, for removing peak time fares and just having a flat fare.
Right. But would that not mean that as a traveller off peak, a leisure traveller, I would end up having to pay more if the cost of peaks didn't exist? Then it would be cheaper to travel in the morning, which means that people for the rest of the day would have to pay more, so that there was an average flat fare.
Well, they've not introduced an average flat fare. They've just made them all the off-peak fares. So obviously there's a question there for future implementation.
Yes.
Whether that would be the case, because just on that one point is that obviously I have been what has happened with East Coast with their introduction of a single leg fare is that you can no longer buy return open tickets. They're all advanced, and they're also more expensive than they were 12 months ago.
Yes. Well, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. It's a shame. Anyway, I appreciate that you have to leave us now, but maybe if you just say hello to Ben as he joins, and then I will hand off to him. Well, no, you can hand me off to him. Say hello to Ben.
Hello.
Hi,
Hey,
Ben.
Ben.
Hello.
Johanna's just going to leave us, and then we'll carry on. I'm going to go
Sorry.
straight to asking you the questions. So Ben, thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, Johanna had to leave, so you just got me. But You've been a member of the Rail Innovation Group for a few years now, so I guess let's start with giving you an opportunity to introduce yourself.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, glad to be here. So my name is Ben Jones. I am the business development manager for S&B, we call it UK. Scheidt Bachmann is the proper name, which is a German organisation that has been running for over 150 years in fare collection, parking solutions, signalling solutions, fuel retail, and now we've got an IoT section. So my background is I have been working in the industry for nearly 20 years. I started as a junior engineer with a company called Shear, which was later bought by Atos Origin, then turned into Worldline eventually. And then I moved to S&B about 5 years ago. So I've been here about 5.5 years now, starting as an account manager, then a sales manager for the UK, alongside a colleague of mine, and now business development manager. So it's brief background of what and who I am.
Okay. And so many other people tell us that even after 20 years, they say they're new to rail. You haven't said that, thankfully.
No, I have no. I'm certainly not new to rail, and certainly my face keeps popping up. So customers are sometimes happy, sometimes not happy, but we'll see. It's been an interesting enough industry to keep me around for 20 years. Let's put it that way.
Right. So you work obviously for a large company. One of our largest members is. I mean, I wrote down that I was going to ask you what's your interest in innovation, but if I could tweak that slightly to be,
Absolutely.
Does the company want to innovate, or does it have to innovate for the market?
Both. So both. I mean, I'm going to give you a very political answer, I think, but I'm trying not to be. I'm trying to be open as I can. The company is big enough, to innovate all the time if it really wants, and it does have various innovation teams within fare collection on its own. So if I just take the section that I work in, obviously, which is the one for the Rail Innovation Group, to be able to live for 150 years as a company, if they didn't innovate, they wouldn't be around today. We've seen that with the likes of in the UK, Woolworths and HMV, and they start to make a resurgence coming back because they've had new ownership and a new lease of life. But S&B have always been there. And the reason I say both is because we have to innovate as well. The customers' needs are changing. We are not just telling them what we think we need and that's going to fit to their thing. We've switched that to asking and working with with our customers. They are the experts at the end of the day. They understand the customer's needs or passenger needs or whatever side of the fence you're on in terms of passenger and customer. So yeah, we have to do both to survive, but also we have to be able to make sure the products that we give our customers and provide our customers are forward-facing and fit for the future.
Right. Okay. And do you, in your role, have the chance to, I don't want to say invent, but to sort of scout around for things that would be a good solution to come up with?
Yes. So in my role, I'm quite lucky in my role. So because there's only one of me in the UK, and I work alongside sales and project management and everybody else. But I get to go out and look at 2, 3, 4 years ahead, maybe 5 years ahead, maybe 10 years ahead, into the solutions we may need. So certain things at the moment, which are not a secret because everybody else is doing it, we're looking at facial recognition. We're we are looking at deep vein technology. We're looking at fingerprint technology. We're trying to, we're looking at technology, ultra wideband. We're looking at sound acoustic waves. We're looking at all sorts of technology in R&D products to say how does that make the customer journey better. But I am quite lucky that I can bring a customer in or I can bring a supplier in, and I can absolutely manage that relationship through from start to finish. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But we're 10 steps ahead. If it does work out, then fantastic. And if there's people and suppliers, other suppliers that in the market who would like to even talk and try to collaborate, absolutely. Why not? It's an open market. We can't just do everything ourselves these days, and that's my view, of course. But yeah, I'm in a unique position. I get to try and drive that through our business.
Right. You sound quite enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I've always been the same. I don't know where it comes from. I have no idea where it comes from. I I've always been quite enthusiastic. I just
Optimistic about
like,
the future.
yeah, well, yeah, I have to be. Otherwise, it's all doom and gloom, and you never get anything done. But there's always a will. Where's a will, there's a way, as we know in the UK. But we
Yeah.
have to try and make it better. And the only way to do that is to go from start to finish. If it doesn't work out, you know why, and wait for technology to catch up. Great example, Bluetooth beaconing.
Yeah.
SAP have had that for 15 years. It's not been apparent that it's not been a technology that you could really mass adopt till really now. So some people have been successful, but it really hasn't taken off in terms of the mass world. But I don't mean like mobility service. I mean as in mass adoption.
Right.
But we are now trying to exploit that with the technological advances with phones, with other forms of media and connectivity. As I said, ultra wideband's a great one. It just, there's not one fit. It's not one technology that will rule the ball. It all has to work together.
Right.
But yes, I am very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. Well, it's good. That's why we want you involved in our group. So we obviously normally speak to people who are actually running and working in smaller companies, and we ask them their challenges. So I'm just curious to get your view from, as a larger, longer term company, what are your challenges? Sorry, to clarify, what are your challenges with the innovation space?
Yeah. Well, just trying to do it. I mean, when you're a smaller company, so I come from a smaller company back in the past, and they were able to do things and take quick decisions because they had the dedicated people. So we're part of a larger company now, and that goes from my past as well as with S&B, is trying to change the oil tanker speed. We use that analogy because it is a big oil tanker. And once you start turning, obviously you can't really stop it, but it does turn at a very, very slow pace. It's getting that buy-in from central management. It's getting that buy-in from the product owners, and it's slowly getting the traction that we need to be able to say, you know what, we need to put some more skin in the game, money in the game. We need to innovate more and get people in. And it's getting there. We've changed, recently, I have to say, in the last year or so, when we had a new CEO, the theory has changed. It's a lot more about products than it was about the projects. So we were doing it all project led, and we're doing product, and that takes a while. That does take a while. So our challenge is just getting people to think openly about, is it the right way? Do we have space? What is the benefit? And go out and get feedback from the customers. Don't just do it because we think it's a good idea. Actually go and speak to the customers, get their view, and see what they think, because we've done that a load of times in the UK and around the world. Some have taken off and some have died because of it. It's not everything is going to be suitable right now.
Right. Okay, it was a good point to make then. Earlier on, you mentioned about, you just said that it's important to engage with customers, and then earlier on you said you like to collaborate. So I was wondering, do you engage with smaller suppliers as part of your solution development, or I don't know, market research or anything?
Yes. So we do have a number of smaller companies, I'm going to say on our books, but not like that. We do work with other suppliers. So we have, a smaller marketing agency that we work with in UK. We have smaller suppliers around the world, in Spain and Germany that we collaborate with. In the UK, that's growing. It's been quite tricky with the way the UK market has been since COVID. That it's been a lot slower to do anything, and a lot of the business we've had is our traditional business that we have in-house. But we are absolutely opening ourselves up to working with smaller companies because they will be more nimble than us. They will be quicker than us. They will be able to advise us on certain aspects. They will be experts in areas that we are not. So we may be very good at ticketing, but we may not be very good at delay repay, for example.
Right.
So, there are many companies that do that a lot better than us. So we must learn from the experts, providers, same thing. So we are opening ourselves up to have those discussions to see what can be done. Again, some things take a long time. Some things are quite quick, and if it's terms of a tender or a situation where we need to reply and we need to respond. But no, absolutely, we are working with more and more smaller companies and suppliers and partners to be able to deliver the solutions we need.
So how do you find those small suppliers? Obviously, I'm speaking on behalf of all the community in the Rail Innovation Group who are small suppliers. How are they engaging?
So, just talk to me. I mean, I always
Track
say
you down and find you at an event.
Absolutely, not even an event. So I am on LinkedIn. Obviously, I've got my mobile number on there. I've got my email address. Just talk to me. I mean, so I say to everybody, it's really, really simple. If you want to talk to me, pick up the phone or email me. I will reply. I'm not going to sit there and go, "Oh, I'm part of a bigger group." Absolutely not. It's for me. Even that thinking is ridiculous. So, people in the Rail Innovation Group, I've spoken to a number of people there. But so we know in tenders to come that we know who can we rely on and what they do. I'm always up for, and it's really my job with my sales colleagues to go out and find these new companies and to understand them. So I can pick on one. So we've got Esoterics is one that we've been working with.
Yeah.
And talking to for a long time. Nothing's pulled off yet, but we're there. I know what they're about. I know what they're capable of doing. So it really is just pick up the phone, have a chat, send me a LinkedIn message, send me an email, whatever. We want to know what people are doing, so we can see if we can help and help in bringing them into the market. Because we may have the connections, or help in our solutions and actually providing that well-rounded solution in the end.
Brilliant. That's a very encouraging message. Has anything surprised you about the small companies?
How knowledgeable, how good they are. Like, we all think we're good, right? Let's be honest. So we're all good at our jobs. There's many people who they are employed for a reason. Otherwise somebody else will be employed in their position.
Yeah.
But when you really talk to the smaller companies who have the time and dedication and really go into depth about their product, it is amazing. And I love this. I'm a bit of a tech head myself from a previous life, but absolutely, I love the same passion they have, just like I have for doing ticket machines and doing gates and and really providing that change of view. They really, really, really go into the depth and can really forward think. They will really explain step by step why they've done it that way, which is good, because otherwise somebody may have another idea of how to do it, but there's got to be reasons why it's done a particular way, because it just doesn't work, or there's technology advances, or it's not there yet, or whatever. I just like the smaller companies thinking. They really nail the problems when it comes to whatever they're doing. So, as I said, delay repay companies, data analysts really go straight into that detail. Yeah, I do it this way because some other people can't say that or don't want to say it. And I do feel some of the large companies we have worked with don't go into that detail as fast as they do. And, fine, have it in an agreement, have an NDA, whatever you want to do. It's really, really valuable for somebody part of a large company to understand that level of detail.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, you're talking up the small companies, so we're like that.
I come from one. Remember, back in 2005 when I first started, what was I, 18?
Yeah.
18, nearly 19. I'm now 38 next year. I was part of a small company.
Dropping that in.
Sorry, apologies. But no, I was part of a small company. I was part of a company no more than 80 to 90 people.
Yeah.
So I as much as I love that environment, I obviously love the big environment as well. It's just a different way of thinking. And I think they're faster now. I think the companies now are just faster because they know what they want, they can see the gaps and they go for it. And there's a lot of people investing, there's a lot of people bringing stuff to market. So absolutely, always happy to have a chat, as I say, and really learn what they're bringing to market.
Yeah. What could they learn from you, or what advice do you have for all them?
I think to be pushy. I think
Okay.
be patient and be pushy. So you're not always going to get everything. Yeah, I know exactly. It's two worlds. But what I mean by that is there will be times where you will have to read the room and you will have to sit there and go, right, now's not the right time because changes with central industry, changes in government, whatever it may be. But at some point, don't give up that fight and that and basically that drive, because it will happen. We've, either been part of a small company or part of a large company. I've had experiences where I've had to wait 2 years, 3 years before things have even pulled off. And that seems to be boring, but the conversations that are happening in the background. But I've always pushed it. I've always brought it to light. I've just waited for the right time and sort of, being able to read, LinkedIn and being part of forums like the Rail Innovation Group. We get a lot of information that we can then determine when is the right time to. I think the strike is, but not in the striker sense of what's been happening in the UK. But you bring it. You just keep going. If you really believe in the product and really believe in what you do, absolutely, just keep going. And if anybody needs any connections, or the large companies will have them. And if it's a true company who wants to work with people, they will have no problem in widening their connections with people, with just to get more people in the market. There are lots of companies you have in your books, Liam, that do that very well.
Right.
Cool. So we want to be one of those. We want to be helpful, and we want to help people get there. But yeah, just read the room. If it's not the right time, be patient, but keep pushing afterwards and make sure you strike at the right time, because it will happen.
Right. Great. Be patient, be pushy, strike at the right time. Wonderful. Good message, yeah. Right.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for that insight, and we will see you soon.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to another episode of What Moves Us. We hope we moved you. For more episodes, you'll definitely want to subscribe to our channel.
Till next time.